The 2018 Youth Gathering is going to be upon us soon. This year it's in Houston, Texas, just down the road, and what a great opportunity that is for our young people, but also for us as a Synod to connect with and extend awareness of this uniqueness of being Lutheran in Texas. And one of the realities I realized as I've extended to you is that we have a lot of congregations that have 1 or 2 or 3 youth. And so I offered to Janelle, I said, if you'll put it together and do all the work, I'll be the primary leader for a group. And she said yes. So it's Janelle Miller from Calvary Richland Hills has been coordinating that. She is our Synod coordinator for this event, and she's here to report on the gathering as well as encourage you all to engage in the variety of synodical youth ministries that we have, and we have youth in our midst. So I'd encourage you to find ways to connect those youth, if it's 1 or 2 or 50, to connect those young people and to connect them to the ministries of the church. Janelle, thank you for everything that you do.
Okay, I've only got 10 minutes, so we're going to go quickly. I want to talk to you on behalf of all the youth leaders, because only one of us could be up here, but you have youth leaders throughout the area that pray for your congregations on a regular basis. And so I want you to think about your faith timeline. What does it look like? Mine began on September 21st, 1969, probably with my baptism. Pictured with my mom and my grandma, strong Christian women in my life. And I have always been a Lutheran. I have always been in the church. But there are some things that are more important that stand out to me, some that others will share, and a lot that are unique. I can remember my grandma's funeral, and Pastor Dave, who was so important to me, taught me how to grieve at 4 years old and walked with me on that. And then I can remember being confirmed. We were moving to Texas, and I got confirmed by myself on Thanksgiving weekend as an 8th grader. And I looked out, and my grandpa had tears in his eyes. And I'm like, oh my gosh, something must have happened while I was speaking. But no, it's just because that's how important it was to him. It was a moment I realized what faith with my family, who probably didn't talk about it as much as they should have, but I knew how important it was in that moment. And then we came to Zion Lutheran in McGregor, and I sat in the car. I refused to go in. My parents made me go to worship, but I did not have to go to Sunday school, so I sat in our white station wagon for months until one day Teresa Henniger and Rodney Schmalrity and Ray Dietzman knocked on the window and said, hey, we're going to the lake. You want to go? Yep, I do. And they elected Luther League officers, and I was the secretary, and I don't think I've slowed down since because somebody made an invitation. In 1985, I got to go to the ALC Youth Gathering in Denver, Colorado, and got to see the awesomeness of a youth gathering and people that believed like I did. Then when I visited Calvary for the first time in 1991, Pastor Phil said, we're going to the Omni Theater today, because I told him I was a Luther Leaguer. He's like, come with us. Oh, he didn't know what he was starting. And I went from a Luther Leaguer and a kid to the grown-up, to the chaperone. I had to learn to be a grown-up all the way around. Being asked to make funeral potatoes was a moment in my life when the funeral committee called and said, we need potatoes. I'm like, yes. And I'm like, oh my gosh, my mom's not here. How do I do this? And I became the grown-up, and I participated in the life of the church. Then I went to River of Hope with a youth group in 1997 and came to the back of the plane saying to Pastor Phil, I think maybe I should do more of this than just going to youth gatherings. And we spent a year preparing, and I went on staff as an inexperienced elementary school teacher to work with teenagers. I had to say goodbye to my dad. Very formative as you realize how real heaven really is. And now I'm at the point in my faith timeline where I get to be the part of somebody else's timeline. And for a lot of you in this room, that's where you are. We are the part of somebody else's timelines. And as an NTNL, we need to think about what that looks like. What does it look like for us as Northern Texas, Northern Louisiana? As I've worked with congregations across the Synod in preparations for the youth gathering, we are huge. We have kids with horses, and we have kids that have never seen a horse. We have every demographic, we have every socioeconomic, we've got everything with us. And how do we pull them together as one? We do some great things. We've got ministry at Briarwood. We have had, for a short time, a youth synod staff person. We have had youth gatherings, but it's not enough for our kids. And what I'm going to say to you on behalf of all the youth directors in the Metroplex that gather regularly, that work to put on youth gatherings and things across the Synod is it's time to dream. It is time to figure out what we need to do as a Synod to bring a greater youth ministry and right on the faith timelines of those kids. Because you've all got them. They may not be in your pews. Some of you, when I talk to you about youth gathering, were like, we don't have any kids. And some of you may not, but most of you do, even if you're not seeing them. They may not be coming in your doors, but they're somewhere. So how do we partner together? How do we support each other as we go forward, bringing those kids into the church? Because if they're not there, your church isn't going to be there after a while. So it's really important. And they're weird, squirrely little creatures. And they sit in their cars until somebody knocks on the window. And they do all kinds of crazy things, but we're called to love them and to be in this journey with them. And they are going to be some of your harder parishioners, but they're so worth it. So I'm going to encourage you in the next year to really think about it. We're reaching out to youth leaders. Start thinking about what does it look like? What can we do as a Synod to start supporting our youth? Whether it's a staff position, whether it's a different events, whether it's contract things, whatever it looks like. Meanwhile, I'm working with Bishop Gromberg and Pastor Chris as we try a few things across the Synod to be able to come back with ideas. But it's time to dream because we need to do something. And we've got about a year to figure it out. The youth gathering. Oh, we kind of skipped right past that. How are we supporting them? But that is what you need to think about. You need to think about how are we supporting the kids in this Synod. One of the big ways is youth gatherings. It was formative in my life. It's been formative in many of your lives. This year we have 25 congregations registered and one bishop's group. We are the only bishop's group that is going. So lots of people now know us in the ELCA because we are unique. So when you add the 8 congregations represented in Bishop Gronberg's group, we have 33, which leaves, I honestly don't know how many of us there are, but 65-ish congregations that are also a part of this youth gathering. Every single one of your congregations, I expect to be a part of it in some way. Because we're all going, so we're going to be there. We're going to be the active participants, but you are all going to be able to participate remotely in a lot of different ways. First of all, we covet your prayers. You have some of the greatest prayer warriors in the generations in your congregations, and we need those. We also are going to be asking you to write notes. When you get back from your break, there'll be note cards on all your tables. And I'd like everybody to write one, because what I want to happen is every morning when those kids get up, our peer ministers are going to have stuck a note underneath their door. And so they will see that Resurrection in Plano is praying for them, and Bethel Avoca is praying for them, and Trinity Miles, and places they've never even heard of, that these people care about us. Doesn't have to be long, but it needs to say that we're praying for you. We're proud of you for prioritizing a week of your life to spend in worship and community with other Lutherans. We want video greetings. When the kids check into the hotel, we're at the Omni West Side, and there's going to be a big screen that's going to be scrolling. And I want you to grab your congregation, and I want you one Sunday to say a greeting to them so they see you. They're going to return the greeting when you see them on Synod Day. We just had our ladies' retreat last week, so I had them practice. So Aaron, will you throw that up? Just a quick sample. It doesn't have to be anything big. So it doesn't have to be a lot, but I would ask you to, whether it's your women's group, whether it's your congregation, whoever it is, to send a video greeting. I'll get you the email for Jay Walls, and he will put everything together so that they see you. They need to see you, and you need to see them. Groups that want to make cookies, or they want to make cute little crafts for the kids, or make a donation to a group that needs help. All of those things you're also welcome to do, because the ELCA Youth Gathering in Houston is for everybody. Every night at the mass gatherings, it will be, whatever that word is, broadcast. You'll be able to log in and you'll be able to watch it. You'll get to sing the songs with us. You will be able to hear the speakers with us. We are also going to be offering every congregation. When we go, we get wristbands and we can't take them off. It's our ticket to get in everywhere. So we walk into venues with our arms up with our wristbands. So for my congregation, they get wristbands when we go on the National Youth Gathering, and they have kids' names on them, and so that they can pray for kids. I'm not going to write all their names on them for you this time, but I'm going to have pre-printed wristbands so that every congregation can get some. And pastors, you'll just need to tell me how many you need, because I would anticipate that we need at least 50,000 wristbands within all of our congregations. So we'll be ordering those and we'll be getting them to you so your kids, your adults can participate in a meaningful way and have that physical reminder of our kids that are gone. We will also be sending out links with prayer booklets so that every day, our kids are together. It is the coolest thing ever this year. We are all at the same hotel. So they are not just going to be Calvary Lutheran, Resurrection, all of these, but we're going to have our own identities. We're also going to have an NTNL identity. For the first time in a really long time, our peer ministers are intentionally working on how to bring our groups together. And then we will have a church-wide identity as well. But we'll have prayer books. We're all doing the same thing every day. Wednesday, we will gather at the Omni Hotel. We'll get to know each other, and then we will head down to NRG Stadium for opening worship. On Thursday, we will be heading to the Galleria for lunch and then joining the rest of our synod for a youth-led worship service with the bishop preaching and presiding. And I don't know how it's happening yet, but Jay will have it figured out. You will be able to participate in that as well. And then Tuesday night, nope, we're on Thursday. Thursday night, we go back to the mass gathering, and you get to be a part of it. Friday, we're at service day. What we'll be doing is, we being like Pastor Kyle and Bishop Gronberg and other pastors, will be tweeting and posting things on Facebook so you can see us and you can see what we're doing. Then we go back to the gathering and you get to listen to our speakers, our songs, and be present with us for a couple hours. Saturday, we will be at the Interaction Center, again posting on social media, letting you see what's happening there, and going back to worship. You will worship with us. Sunday morning, we will have our closing worship, and you will be invited, whether it's for your Sunday school hour or whatever it is, maybe for worship that day. You can join us and be a part of our closing worship and watch 30,000 young people commune each other in the middle of worship and see the stadium and what it looks like. But we want you to be an active part of this gathering. So I will encourage you to watch your emails, to not let me go into your spam, and to let your congregations, encourage your congregations to participate and be present with our young people in Houston this year. Thank you. Oh. Yeah, you got that?
Bishop Gronberg, Northern Texas, Northern Louisiana Synod. Thank you, Janelle, and thank you.
This changes everything.
That's just me talking again. With 100 of our youth behind me as we celebrated in Merkel for our pre-gathering event. That was a great time. Thank you, Janelle. And Jay Walls from Preston Meadow and Plano, who is coordinator of Synod Day. Thank you to Jay and to Preston Meadow for allowing him to be the coordinator for that as well. This is really important. As I said, youth and young adults are a priority, and they need to be a priority of all of our congregations. And there are ways that your congregation can contribute and support. Janelle can lift those up for you. We've got some of our ethnic-specific congregations going who could use your financial support. If your congregation isn't going but wants to support the youth of NTNL going to this gathering, to having this experience, we can find ways for you to do that. And it'd be wonderful to see all of our congregations contributing in some way to this experience for our young people. So thank you, Janelle, for all of that work.